One of the things I commonly hear people talk about and debate and argue over is the concept of playstyle, and it's a very controversial subject. And I'd like today to understand exactly what people mean by it and what they try exactly, what they're trying to get at, or either incorrectly or correctly, what exactly they mean by a playstyle. I have my own personal understanding and definition of what a playstyle is, and I don't think it's exactly what you would refer to when most people talk about playstyle. I think the most common mainstream sort of well acknowledged definition of a playstyle is people tend to refer to not so much specific decks having certain playstyles. People tend to refer to certain approaches that you take to the game as a playstyle. You know, so if your opponent has 5 back row and you're gonna YOLO into it, that person might describe their playstyle as aggro, which I personally think is incorrect, but for argument's sake, let's say that this is the definition that a lot of people put forward. So they say like, yeah, I'm a very aggressive player when I use my cards, so that makes me an aggro player. That's my playstyle. Or if my opponent has like, you know, even just 1 back row, I'm gonna go all out in some way to make sure that I can out that back row in some shape or form. I'm gonna direwolf it. I'm gonna whatever. You know what I mean? That's what a lot of people tend to commonly refer to as playstyle. This is how people, I think, most people refer to as a playstyle. Now, in one camp, you have people who say that, yeah, that's fine. That's the game of Yu-Gi-Oh. That's certain tactics that people use and strategies that people use in order to play the game. That's how they do it. And on the other side of the argument, we have people who say playstyles don't exist. Playstyles are just something that people make up and have used as some sort of scapegoat or excuse to, I guess, justify their bad plays or something like that. There's no such thing as a playstyle. It's how there is always going to be an optimal and correct play, and there is always going to be a correct and optimal way to build a deck. You know what I mean? That's how a lot of people would refer to. That's how many people would argue against playstyles being correct, because there is no such thing as a playstyle. There's either the correct play or the incorrect play. There is no like aggressive play or defensive play. There's only a play that wins you the game, or that is the correct play for that game state of that moment. So personally, I'm in this camp. I think that there's always going to be an optimal way to build your deck and to play your turn, depending on the situation and context. If you're trying to do something where, as we mentioned earlier, where you play aggro or you play defensive, you're kind of just letting yourself be dictated by your so-called not so much, you're not being dictated to by your playstyle, you're being dictated to by your own personal desire to have this term placed upon yourself for some reason. So I personally think it's incorrect to say that you have a playstyle. Like, you as a person might do things that would appear to be aggro or whatever. If you're the kind of person that constantly goes into back row and you don't give a shit or whatever, like, a lot of the time maybe that'll be the right play, maybe it's not. But if it's the wrong play, then you can't say that I did this play because I'm an aggro player. You did it incorrectly. So while you might describe yourself as someone who's conservative or aggro, it's not really correct to say that, because there is only going to be one correct play, you know. So if you're going YOLO into 4 back row in a format that has triple solemn strike, 1 warning, then you know you're playing incorrectly. That's not how you should be playing. Like, you're just playing incorrectly. You know, you can't say I'm an aggro player. You're just playing badly for some reason. I don't know why. So that's one. That's sort of the first segment of this video and the kind of point that I wanted to bring. That's, you know, how I would sort of set the parameters for that discussion. So let me know if you disagree or agree with that. But moving on to the second part, where my own personal definition of playstyle is not this concept of, you know, I'm an aggro player or I'm a defensive player. I see playstyle as something that is inherent to a deck, for example. So let's look at this deck right here, Pepe, right? This is a combo-based OTK deck. Its playstyle, so to speak, is utilizing the pendulum mechanic to spam out a bunch of guys, overlay and to make an unbreakable board turn 1, or to going second, break your opponent's board by using things like Ignister, by using things like maybe Treacherous Trap Hole offensively, etc, etc. That's how I would describe the Pepe playstyle. It's not the player that I see as a playstyle, it's the deck itself. That's how I would define a playstyle. So for example, if we look at hat format and we look at the hat deck, that deck is a control deck. So you're playing in response to how your opponent plays, primarily. That deck's playstyle is based on setting monsters, having your opponent attack into your monsters, having your opponent play into your back row. That's your deck's playstyle. There's always going to be an optimal play when you're playing hat, but the deck's playstyle is revolved around a certain thing. Yang Zing's playstyle is to synchro summon. That's how they're relying on. They're relying on getting a bunch of little guys out on the field and synchro summoning and making a big monster and controlling the game in that way. That's how I would see the Yang Zing playstyle, so to say. Infernity's playstyle is heavily special summon reliant, so you're going to be constantly special summoning and overlaying and special summoning and overlaying. That's how I see that deck's playstyle. So to say overall, I guess that I'm a aggro player or a conservative player, you're just letting yourself be kind of forced to say certain things for the sake of it, rather than, you know, you're just trying to pigeonhole yourself into a certain way, rather than just playing the game as it should be played at that moment in time. If you need to play around, you know, if they have one set card and you're just going to pendulum summon 5 into it before, you know, overlaying into Direwolf to pop it in a format that has 4 traps that negate an entire special summon, you're not playing aggro, you're just playing badly. Like, you know, the most optimal play hypothetically in that situation would be to hit the back row first and then pendulum summon 5. You understand? That doesn't make you an aggro player. That just makes you've just misplayed. You know, instead of dealing with the moment of the circumstances of that time, you're shit, basically. So I guess in conclusion, to wrap up everything I said, yeah, a playstyle is not how you play the game. The playstyle, I would define it as the deck and how the deck runs. So yeah, just as another example, Mermail's playstyle is graveyard reliant. So everything you do is reliant on your graveyard, and that's that deck's playstyle. It's a graveyard reliant deck. If you have a deck like, I don't know, Exodia, you're reliant on drawing cards. That's your playstyles. That's your deck's playstyle. It's based on drawing cards. That's how I would define this. I don't know if you would agree or disagree, but yeah, that's just how I see it. And yeah, I would say that this is what I've just said now. You know, referring to playstyle as the mechanics of the deck rather than your personal way of approaching a situation. That's what I would call a playstyle. The way you approach the game is either correct or incorrect. There really is no in between. Very, very rarely is there any sort of room for debate on, you know, whether or not the play you made was correct or incorrect. You either did or didn't do the correct play. That's how I see it. So maybe you disagree. Let me know in the comment section down below. I hope my definition was sort of clear enough. I hope I've kind of cleared up any misconceptions that you might have had about this term. And yeah, I shall see you next time.
Come, face me. Give in to your pride.